According to Jewish tradition, the Messiah will one day enter Jerusalem through this gate. In the middle of Jerusalem's old city stands a gate like no other, the Golden Gate, also called the Gate of Mercy. For over 500 years, this gate has been sealed shut, blocked by heavy stones that hide secrets, hopes, and ancient prophecies. This isn't just a closed gate. It's a powerful symbol that connects Jews, Christians, and Muslims with a shared hope for the future. Jewish tradition says the Messiah will come through this gate to bring redemption. Christians believe Jesus will return through it too. And for Muslims, this place also has deep spiritual meaning about the end times. But why is the Golden Gate still closed? Who sealed it, and why? Join me as we explore the amazing history of this ancient mystery, and see why this silent gate is so important to some of the world's biggest faiths. The Golden Gate sits on Jerusalem's eastern wall, directly across from the Mount of Olives, a ridge that's holy for Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Its position is not by chance. In Jewish prophecy, the Messiah will arrive from the east, and the Mount of Olives will split open to make a path for salvation. The gate's design shows many layers of history. Archaeologists like Dan Bahat, Lean Rittmeyer, and David Ussishkin say that most of what we see today was built during the Byzantine period, around the 6th or 7th century CE, with some parts possibly added during the early Islamic Umayyad period. Beneath the current layers, there is evidence of earlier gates from the time of the Second Temple. This shows that this place has been important for religion and strategy for over 2,000 years. In the 6th century, when Byzantine Christian rulers controlled Jerusalem, they are believed to have rebuilt this gate to highlight its connection to Jesus' promised return. Back then, pilgrim writings and religious texts mentioned the gate as a key entrance for pilgrims and a symbol of God's presence. Jewish writings also talk about the gate's importance in the end times. In Ezekiel 44 verses 1-3, it describes an eastern gate that stays closed because the Lord entered through it, and it will remain shut until the Messiah comes. The Talmud and Midrash also talk about a sealed eastern gate, reinforcing the belief that the Messiah will enter through it. Christian scripture also shows this gate's role. The Gospels tell how Jesus entered Jerusalem riding a donkey, fulfilling Zechariah 9 verse 9, which says a humble king will come from the Mount of Olives. Christians remember this event every year on Palm Sunday, with the Golden Gate standing as a strong symbol of this prophecy. In Islam, Jerusalem is also seen as a spiritually important place. While the Golden Gate is not directly mentioned in the Quran, many hadiths talk about Jerusalem's role in the end times, and the nearby Al-Aqsa Mosque makes the area even more sacred. The story of the Golden Gate being sealed begins in 1541, during the rule of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent, the most famous ruler of the Ottoman Empire. Suleiman rebuilt Jerusalem's city walls, many of which still stand today. One of his major projects was the decision to permanently seal the Golden Gate. The reasons for Suleiman's order were both political and spiritual. Jerusalem is a holy city for many religions, and it had been a place of tension for a long time. Many Jewish people believed that the coming of the Messiah would also bring political freedom, which could threaten Ottoman control over the city. By sealing the gate, Suleiman wanted to stop the expected arrival of the Jewish Messiah, both in a symbolic and practical way. This was an attempt to stop messianic hopes and to keep Ottoman power strong. Historical records from that time, including writings from Jewish historians like David ben Solomon, Ibn, Abi Zimra, and Radbuz, show that the Ottomans feared that if the Messiah entered through this gate, it might lead to a revolt against their rule. But Suleiman did more than just seal the gate. He also built a Muslim cemetery right in front of it. In Jewish law, touching graves makes a person ritually unclean. Priests, especially Kohanim and Levites, are not allowed to enter holy places if they are unclean. By placing a cemetery there, Suleiman made it impossible for Jewish priests to go through the gate without becoming unclean, stopping any messianic rituals at the site. Suleiman's actions show how political leaders tried to control religious hopes and tied their power to the city's holy places. This is a clear example of how faith, politics, and architecture are deeply connected in Jerusalem's history. In Judaism, This eastern gate is very important for messianic beliefs. Jewish tradition says that the Messiah will enter Jerusalem through this gate, fulfilling prophecies of the temple's restoration and bringing peace to the world. Texts like the Talmud, Sanhedrin 98b, and the Midrash talk about the Golden Gate and connect it to the future redemption of Israel. This hope shapes Jewish spiritual life, especially for those who see the rebuilding of Jerusalem as a sign that the Messiah is coming soon. Christianity also sees the Golden Gate as special. It is believed to be the place where Jesus entered Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, an event recorded in all four Gospels, like Matthew 21 verses 1 to 11 and John 12 verses 12 to 19. Christians believe that when Jesus rode into the city on a donkey, he fulfilled the prophecy in Zechariah 9 verse 9. This event is remembered by Christians around the world every year. Many Christians also believe that Jesus will return through this gate when he comes back to bring judgment and salvation. In Islamic tradition, the Golden Gate holds spiritual importance even though it is not directly mentioned in the Quran or Hadith. Many Islamic teachings talk about the East and Jerusalem as important places during the end times. The Golden Gate is close to the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is the third holiest site in Islam, adding to its spiritual significance. Some Muslim scholars see hadiths that mention Judgment Day coming from the east as a symbolic connection to this gate. Different Islamic schools interpret these ideas differently, but the Golden Gate has become a strong symbol of faith and identity for many people, and sometimes, a point of conflict. Its ceiling, built in the 1500s, has become a symbol of the fight over Jerusalem, a city holy to Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Today, the gate's symbolism is often used in politics and by nationalist groups. Jerusalem is still one of the world's most disputed cities, with conflicts often rooted in religious claims. The sealed gate represents spiritual hope but also shows the political struggles over sacred spaces, which continue to create tension and conflict. Studies from the Jerusalem Institute for Policy Research show how religious symbols like the Golden Gate impact public feelings and political talks. The gate is still a powerful symbol today. Its closed doors reflect the ongoing struggles over identity, control, and peace. To fully understand these tensions, we also need to look at what lies beneath the gate, the archaeological evidence that connects it to Jerusalem's ancient history, and the modern events that keep its story alive. Under the heavy stones of the Golden Gate is a rich archaeological story tied to the very beginnings of Jerusalem's sacred history. Research by experts like Lean Rittmeyer and the Israel Antiquities Authority shows that the gate's foundations might date back to the First Temple period under King Solomon in the 10th century BCE, or to the Herodian expansions during the Second Temple period, around the 1st century BCE to the 1st century CE. These findings are important because they connect the site to key moments in Jewish history, including Solomon's Temple, the first house of worship, and Herod's grand rebuilding, which stood during Jesus' time. Radiocarbon dating and ground surveys show that the Golden Gate was built, destroyed, and rebuilt many times throughout history. This reflects Jerusalem's long story of wars and rebuilding. Even though the gate is important to archaeologists, it still remains sealed, which has caused tension and attempts to open it. In the past few decades, some extremist groups, driven by religious or political beliefs, have tried to break open or symbolically reopen the gate. These attempts often lead to increased security, political disputes, and sometimes even violence, showing how the gate is still a point of conflict in Jerusalem. For example, in the late 1900s and early 2000s, there were reports of groups trying to dig near the gate or hold religious processions there. Israeli authorities and international organizations have condemned these actions, as they could disrupt the fragile balance around Jerusalem's holy sites. In a 2018 report, the United Nations Special Coordinator for the Middle East Peace Process said that the status of Jerusalem's religious sites, including the Golden Gate, is one of the most sensitive issues affecting peace talks. Security forces are always present to prevent any unauthorized actions that could change the gate's status, showing how high the stakes are. Meanwhile, archaeologists continue to study the area without opening the gate. They use ground-penetrating radar and non-invasive methods to map the area under the gate and the nearby cemetery. This helps them learn more about its history while respecting religious concerns. Now, picture the sealed Golden Gate again. The wind moves softly through the quiet Muslim cemetery in front of it, carrying prayers, hopes, and questions from centuries past. Will this gate ever open again? If it does, will it be a sign of prophecy coming true, as many believe? Or could it signal something even bigger for Jerusalem and the world? The Golden Gate stands silently over these mysteries, inviting us to think about faith, history, and the future. Its stones remind us that some gates are not just doors to the past, but could be pathways to what is to come.